darling. Hello, Angela. Welcome to Third Sunday
Hello.
Poetry. How are you?
Good. And you know what? Better now that I get to see you. I am a raving Vandal fan. What are we talking about
Oh,
today?
what? Well, I might have a little book here called Vandal. Oh, there it is. Oh, and look, there's a glare on it. Hang on. There it is. Let's do it that way. Always the challenge. This is my new book of poetry, Vandal Poems by Amy Zollers. And on the back, I wanted to point out my author photo. I am wearing my devil horn barrettes. So it talks about, well, okay, I'm going to read the back of it real quick. Let's do that.
Yes.
It's really dark in here. Let's see. I'm in my son's bedroom, which is weird. He's not here at the time, but this was also my bedroom from 1850, no, 1985 to 1992. So really, I'm back in my own bedroom. Okay, with spectacular reluctance, here comes Vandal, an all-new collection of poetry orbiting the awkward phenomenon of disentanglement. And I'm not going to read the rest. I'm going to let it be a surprise. So there you go.
Oh, I can't wait. So is this on ebook right now? I know that sounds like a loaded question. Like, gee, Amy, is this on ebook? But I actually don't know. Awesome.
It's
I'm
got
going
a
to go find
paperback
it.
version and an ebook, and it's if you do like Amazon, it's Kindle has the free ones unlimited.
Yeah.
It's
Kindle
on that.
Unlimited.
So if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can just read it for free.
Awesome. And I'm going to start pointing this out to people. When you do that, if you read a book through Kindle Unlimited, the author still gets paid. And that's actually one of the kindest things you can do. If you're like, I have Kindle Unlimited, but I don't have any money or whatever, or I don't want to own the book, or even I don't like poetry.
Right.
If you still like that author and you just page to the end of their book, I'm not saying don't read it and page, because that would seem like
look away,
not saying that correctly, but if you just get to the end of that book, it supports the author, and that's a huge deal for us.
Yay. That's good information. I don't know that I knew that, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I found that out like at a different way, and so then it was like, oh well, so now I've just gotten books from people at random and just I of course read it. I'm speed reading,
of course,
to the end.
That's great. You are supporting. I mean, that's like supporting. That's very caring.
It doesn't come out of your pocket. You know what I mean? Like I'm not paying. I'm paying for the membership. So,
but you're taking the time to be like, okay, I may not have time to read every single word of this book, but in my own way, I am supporting in two ways here by like having a look at this book, but also, hey, I've downloaded it, and now if I page through it, that's awesome.
Well, yeah, because like not everything is for everybody. So if you're like, oh, I really don't want to read this, just page through it. Yeah. I want to support this author. I'm just going to page through it.
I love it. That's so cool. That's such a great idea. I never would have thought of like that whole scenario at all. That like, wow, there's this way you can just kind of give your vote and give your support without just taking up a lot of time or money or it's great. It's excellent.
And look at that. It's going into my Kindle right now. While we've been chatting.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, and the glare. Yeah. So I am actually going to read it. I'm not going to just page through, but I guarantee I'll get to the end.
Oh, I got to say, Rena, our friend Rena of Tragic Eyebrows, right? Winner of wrote me the nicest message on Instagram. They are in Russia and have a hard time kind of like receiving mail and things. And I would have mailed them a copy, but it would be a third party. I don't know anybody in another country right now. I do a long time ago. But Rena says, this is when she'd read a third of the book. I've read about a third of the book. Amy, this is powerful. I can feel the 5 stages of grief, the rage, the immense rawness of the naked nerves. It's a great book. Thank you, Rena. I started writing it in March in the weirdest, in some ways, most selfish year of my life. But I would say that before that, there were not any selfish years. I just couldn't do it, And so anyway, there is a lot of blood and guts in the sense that I'm frequently freaking out about crap in this book. So that is all. I'm going to read, we were talking earlier before we started up, maybe we might just do String of Pearls, just read a bunch of poems this time. We often are probably insofar as we're famous for our rattling on about things that are very interesting, by the way, world.
That's
right. But you know what? I work in a recovery room in an elementary school, and there's been a lot of weird events this week, just life stuff. And so I'm kind of like, I mean, it's like I'm kind of losing my voice partly from smoking and partly from working in a recovery room where I had like 6 kids in school suspension today. And I'm like, sit down, be quiet. We got to get all your backpacks. At the end of the day, there's 6 children trailing behind me so we can stop at all their rooms and get their back. Crazy. Okay. It's crazy. All right.
That's funny.
So I think, why don't we just like read some poetry?
Yeah, let's be fast and easy. I might have dog-ageddon over here at any time. So
you got some extra dogs at the moment, which is the Lord's work, Angela. That's beautiful.
I will never complain about having it. Well, I might complain, but I will never not like having extra dogs.
You're going to deep down know that's a blessing. So yeah, awesome. Okay, I'll start with Vandal 12. I'll just get the ball rolling. This is from Vandal, number 12. We chose dahlias, and they blazed with health, flooding the dirt path with impudent blooms, declaring good omens, smiling on our marigolds, shaming the summer sun and monarch fire, bringing, as the Victorians said, their passion, creativity, sometimes grief, but not this time. Expectations irrational, if perfect. The petunias tumble their velvet petals, our guitars chime. We are the poets in the bathtub with fewer bones on display, our mature bellies glutted with music and ecstasy.
I love that.
Thank you.
And I feel like I was having like a immersive experience because I was reading along.
Oh,
Kindle Unlimited.
I love it. Oh, you found it. You found it like right away. That's awesome. That's
yeah.
Cool.
So, well, very cool. I will string a pearl then.
Yes.
And I'm going to read a Halloween one I probably read last Halloween, but you know, hey, it's been a year.
That's right. So, it's time.
And I think you probably remember this one, Seasonal Unhinging. And it's about time for me to write another Halloween one for the SFPA Halloween thing, which I will share with you. If you go to their page, you can do an audio of you reading a poem for Halloween or art or both. And they love it. And they put it together in this thing, in a page. So I'll actually share that with you because I just remembered I need to get that done.
Cool.
Yeah.
I would love it. All right.
So this was one that I wrote. Both of these are written for that. So this was Seasonal Unhinging. I unhinge to quaff the season of Halloween. Every final drop. Every final drop. When each phantom catches my eye and the knocking under the stairs becomes the knocking of my heart, beating loud with telltale fibberies and fictions told at midnight, and starlight to warm up short nights when the cold of corpses creep through our dreams, running chill fingers unseen to tickle our fancy, things we love like black lace and dust, the rust and must of what remains of us, but peeking through windows letting moonlight in, the bones of a friend saying the end, as autumn leaves drift into sunset detritus, the shivers inside us refuse to deride us, for we all raise our spirits to cheer pumpkin kings and thanks for inky nights. With thanks, well, I can't read tonight. With thanks for inky nights and even darker things, I break open wide to make room for the shadows. All hail Halloween.
I do remember that one as you read it, and I remember loving it. I love all the internal rhyme and the
imagery. As I'm reading it, I'm like, oh yeah, this was like my internal rhyme stage.
Which I love. It always sounds like poetry slam, which I love. So it's so fabulous. And the mention of wine at the end, I just have this memory of being like 14 and reading a Jack Kerouac line about wonderful wine drinking October nights. And stealing it like at the age of 14 for a poem, and my dad being like floored and impressed. And I was like, well, I took that from Jack Kerouac, Dad. I didn't write that. but I did. I just inserted it into some poem.
Yeah.
So I really brought that back too. I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. And also, like, you know, my 14-year-old reads Jack Kerouac, also floored.
yeah, probably. I think there was like a television version of The Outsiders, like the book / movie.
Yeah.
And then they did like a short-lived television version, and one of the main characters was reading On the Road and was the same age as me. Like we were both 14, and I'm like, Well, now I got to read it. And you know why I loved On the Road? Because it was about boys and I had no insight into, and then they were men, but it was like boys and what they do and how they think and how they phrase things. I was obsessed.
Maybe.
Read it till it was falling apart.
Oh, that's too funny.
Mm-hmm. That checks out. All right.
Some things don't change.
That's right. It's true. Boys are a blessing. And girls, but
yeah,
your preference, right? Whatever. I'm not here to say. Okay, I'm going to read a werewolf poem. What is the feeling in your skin when the moon is bright? Your bones, near to hatching a beast within, creak and burn in wretched night. Jumping eyes and lungs wrung out, bile will churn and vilely spout. Limbs prickle as the hairs peek through, in sleeves that needle warming you. Drink the breeze and howl your song, for you are free and the night is long. And that was a pair. There was a pair called Two Werewolves. Last spring, I went to Ott Elementary as the poet during National Poetry Month, and I knew they liked scary, right? They like to write scary stories, so I wrote some scary poems, and I'm like, is that too gross? Is that too scary? No, so it worked out fine.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I think kids like scary and gross, so I mean, I did at that age.
Yeah, I did too. So, but none of my friends did. They never wanted to watch scary movies with me at slumber parties. So my loss.
Yeah, that was me. That's how I got that ghost story game going. They would have me tell the ghost stories, but nobody would tell ghost stories. So I was, always giving and never receiving.
Oh, it's such an empty feeling, Angela. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Or I'm giving it and nobody is receiving it. That's what I meant. I'm giving it and everyone's like,
same thing.
Gotta go. What do you have next?
All right, this is my second Halloween program poem. Gosh, I'll try to actually look at the words while I read this time. Again, written for the same thing, the SFPA's Halloween page, annual Halloween page. Mm-hmm. So next Halloween, I'll be reading the third one that I need to write for them for this year, probably. So they'll be like, I have 3 poems about Halloween, Amy.
You'll have to have a whole book in about 20 years.
Yeah, there we go. This is my life plan, guys.
That's right. Your life's work. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This one you'll also remember because I think I've read it 2 years now in a row, and it's called Hungry Ghosts. Mm-hmm. Oh, and Lee Murray actually did a really awesome image that I have, but I didn't think about grabbing it. It's in a folder because I don't have a frame for it yet.
Sure.
But I brought it all the way from America. And this was the poem that the painting did. She did with the paint, however that happened. She painted for this. Okay, gotcha. This is Hungry Ghosts. Licorice nightfall, children of the candy corn, born when the heart stops and rots, mincemeat treats, tiptoe through the gingerbread, mausoleum cake can't slake the hunger, chill, underworld emptiness, gnawing vacant waste. A taste, no harm there, say greedy mice to the trap. Snap, it answers back. Spun sugar skulls crushed to dust, sweet syrup of rust sweetening the dark earth. New birth for old souls, more hungry ghosts to wander, all slowly fasting. Everlasting pangs, the reward for greedy life. Fat years, hungry death. Their breath, creeping ice and spider frost filaments gnawing up the spine. Supine and pining to fill the empty spaces, bloated with regret.
I do love that poem. Yes.
That's about hungry ghosts, which of course I think everybody knows what a hungry ghost is.
Yes, they're dissatisfied.
And forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a great metaphor for life. Don't be a hungry ghost while you're alive, because you'll turn into one when you're dead, but also you never live because you're always wanting.
Yeah, exactly. And when I first heard of that, and I was in a very dissatisfied time in my life, I was like, oh no.
I'm gonna be a hungry ghost, maybe.
Oh no. Yep. I've been accused of being a malcontent, but I won't say more. I kind of don't believe it now. I did for a while, but then I was like, no, I don't think I am.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, I'm going to say as women, which actually will lead to my next poem.
Okay.
But I'm not reading it now. I'm saying, like, when I do read that,
right.
As women, we are kind of told that we should always be giving. If we ever eat the last piece of cake, we're selfish. That's for other people, not us. Never mind that we baked the cake and we did all the other things and frosted the cake and bought all the ingredients for the damn cake and cleaned the cake plate before the cake even freaking went on the cake plate. But yeah, but God help us if we take that last piece of cake.
Right.
And I think that's part of that whole I don't really think of myself as a feminist, but I do think of myself as like we all deserve to have love and joy in our lives. Yeah. And sometimes it does mean sacrifice. Sometimes it does mean not eating the last piece of cake.
Yep.
But when you can never have the last piece of cake,
yeah,
that sucks. And that's not fair.
It's not fair. It's not cool. Yep. I feel like I've spent this past year just eating the last piece of cake a lot. But I never had before. And
so well, you were like having a cake famine.
I was starving to death for cake. And then the cake appeared and I just ate it.
But it's so much better than mausoleum cake.
I love our mausoleum cake. But yeah, it's great. It's pretty great. Yeah. Good cake. All right.
There's so many things I'm not saying right now.
I know. Okay, we're about to do it. Sometimes Angela and I get rebelled without, like, we don't even know how we got there, but there we are. Oh my goodness. It's a hoot. It's just a hoot. All right.
This is your turn.
Okay, it's my turn. Okay, well.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to anticipate what you're up to next. And I'm going to read one of my A Little Bent Upstairs poems, which is a podcast episode I did. These are older poems I wrote. This is kind of hand in hand with Vandal, like the years leading up to it. I'm just going to read the one from the 2nd of November, 2015. Adapting grows tumors, maybe. An illness brought on by unfulfilled longing, unheard longing, excessive substitution. No kitten. Shortbread, no baby, a hot bath, no Kansas City bungalow, rather a coffee mug emblazoned with skyline and saxophone. On saxophone. Failure to be a sport about it, you must be watching the horror movies to excess. Why does your face collapse? Why do you collapse over antique desk before the bay window? There is no orchard, no strong back at the cider press, and the dearth of cemetery views gives me ideas above my station, as does that swooping staircase and its lies. Rain, please, splashing tombstones below my window. The trappings of Halloween now put away, but save out the gravestone-shaped cookie cutter to the tune of teams and grackles whistling at the patio door. Cut them out, a load of shortbread tombstones, assigning to each a name, assigning to none a possibility. Oh, dark times. But kids, there's often light on the other side, and sometimes it's poetry what keeps you from going right off the deep end. Poetry and songwriting.
Yeah. Yes. And if you don't go through the dark time, you probably don't really appreciate the joy that comes afterwards sometimes.
I agree with that. It's like there's so much of that in life. Like, it's like when you're sick and then you feel better. It's like you could have gone months and years feeling good, but then after you're sick and you feel good, you're just like,
oh, it's like a miracle.
I feel so good. Yeah, it's like you're just gorging on it. On how good you feel. So
yeah. I used to get migraines all the time, and you know how incredibly painful those can be. And so, but whenever I would be done with it, I mean, just life was so beautiful. A color was so beautiful. Everything, the textures, like being on ecstasy. I imagine I've never actually been on ecstasy, but that is the comparison that I make. And I used to think, I'm glad I have migraines so that I can get those moments. And I don't get them anymore, but it's okay. I also don't have to have the migraines.
You're fine being in this new chapter, but that is awesome that you actually had the awareness and just the maturity to be like, okay, this really sucks, but when it's over, I'm like,
it's gonna be amazing. Yeah,
that's awesome. All right.
Well, okay. One day maybe I should take ecstasy, but just as an experiment. But
in some ways, we're poets, and we have the obligation to do some of these life experiments. That's kind of what this year has been.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of life experiences, I think I'm taking ayahuasca next month. Well, depending on the floods and how the floods happen. But
sure.
Yeah, well, but I found a place, and
I await the forthcoming poetry.
Oh yes, I will. I mean, I did take DMT one time, and there was no poetry writing because I was actually I have a whole bunch of that, but during the actual experience, like there was no writing happening because it was just more like
that was awesome.
So we'll find out what happens, but yeah,
that's a screenshot. I'm using it on Instagram. That was awesome. Okay, yeah. What minute are we on? Okay, 20. We're at the 20-minute mark. Okay.
Oh, that's funny because I couldn't see my own face because my eyes were crossed. I was looking up.
Good. It's happening.
See, and you do that, I'm gonna use that as my profile picture.
Oh, Angela, you're healing me. That's just all there is.
Good. To it. Well, I'm glad because you heal me all the time. You heal me and inspire me, and so you got me through 2020 because you gave me this crazy show idea thing that we were doing, and I was like, I could never do that. Okay, I'll try. Okay, let's just do this all the time. That's all right.
That's how I was. I'm so always ashamed. It took me years to admit, since 2020, it took me years to admit that leading up to COVID, when we were doing the whole town is invited to open mic or whatever, I was so impatient for my turn, and I just wanted to just read my shit. I didn't want to be all like sharing the spotlight. So shameful, but I think that it's kind of like in Sister Act. That little tiny nun with the red hair was so ashamed of herself because she felt like she had something to share. And then of course she had this voice, and everything. But I think that as humans, but also as artists, there is some kind of fire inside of you that for some reason it's there and it's supposed to come out. And so, so you caught on.
Yeah. Why is that wrong? Right. Why are we made to feel ashamed? And I'm that way with writing, with blogging and stuff. And sometimes I'm like, and there was a long time because for a while I was blogging every single day for about 5 years.
Good practice.
Or maybe even longer. And then like towards 2020, I started skipping days and,
But that's a pretty good run.
Yeah. And at the time I remember thinking like, who even wants to read this crap? Why am I doing this? Like nobody wants, but I just feel like I have to say stuff.
Yes.
This cup, I have to tell a story about this cup because, for whatever reason. And it's the same thing. You have to share your work.
That's true. And I am like a chronic oversharer just in the last few years. I kept it like you. I kept it really bottled up until my 40s and probably my mid 40s. And then I not this week that we're in right now, but last week released Vandal. All right, my book of poetry, my 11th book of poetry, and then my friend who releases my music released an album called A Modern Psychological Thriller, which I don't know, it could probably go a little bit hand in hand with Vandal, but it's on Bandcamp. So you just look up Amy Zollers, you just look up A Modern Psychological Thriller. There's a bunch of songs from my podcast that I've been doing, a podcast in A minor, not a podcast, just podcast in A minor. But so just I was like, oh my gosh, in 1 week, because I had sent him those songs maybe a month ago. But he was busy and life was busy. And then he was like, all of a sudden, okay, I'm going to release your album. And I'm like, and I just released a book of poetry. Oh my God, what a freak. But
that is so cool. But I have Bandcamp. I'm going to go get that.
All right. There's one called Spurts Volume 1. There's this one, which is A Modern Psychological Thriller. And then there's a couple of singles, like Nicotine Headache is one. I love that song. Do you ever write a song and you're like, I love that song? I usually love other people's songs more, but once in a while.
Well, not songs, but other things. I don't think I've ever.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool because I did not know that you had anything on Bandcamp at all.
Oh, yes,
I'm actually getting on Bandcamp right now, which I have been. I have Bandcamp because I had a friend that released an album ages ago. And so I logged on for that. That album's still sitting in there. I mean, I listened to it. I just never got on Bandcamp. So.
Okay. So you get on there. You can find Johnny Pharaoh too, because that's worthwhile. That's the musical name of my friend who releases my stuff. And, is a beautiful soul. That's all.
Oh, here we go. I found you. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, you know what we need to do? We need to have, this is how these things start. We need to have a show where it's you and whoever you just said.
Johnny Farrow.
We'll talk Johnny Farrow, and we'll talk, because sorry, Johnny, I was reading Bandcamp stuff trying to find Amy. So, but yeah, and like do a joint interview and then like release those things. I think we should do that.
We did that in March.
With Johnny Farrow? Not with Johnny Farrow.
It was with Sean, but his Johnny Farrow is his music name. Now you're on the trolley.
I am on that trolley. Sometimes it takes me off. Sometimes I'm running behind it, but I will catch it.
Now you know. Now you know his nom de plume, or whatever you call it when it's music. Stage name. And
stage name, I guess.
I don't have a stage name because, gosh darn it, I'm going to overshare and I'm going to use my name. That's just, I don't know why. Because for too many years I was meek and mild and ashamed and apologizing for the space I took up, and I just don't know. Okay, so that's just in a nutshell, right?
Oh, I'm just laughing because I also don't have any kind of pen names, because I can only handle one name. Like hello world, I only wear one color, and I have 3 of the same pairs of pants and 3 of the same size shirts, and I don't do variety. Okay, so I have one name. Yeah, but I was telling somebody the other day, like something about my secret children's books, blah blah blah, and they're like, oh, who do you like? What's the name that you publish them under? Like, we're kind of joking. I was like, oh, just me. And they're like, how are they secret? Then I was like, I don't know, because I just don't talk about them.
I don't emphasize my children's books, which I love, by the way, that you do that. That's so cool.
Well, yeah, and everybody knows if you don't like slap people in the head with your books, you're not going to know about them. It's a secret.
No kidding. It's true. I always slap. Well, especially when I first started, I did a lot of slapping, and then there's so much competing for people's attention that if you want to fit, because after last week, I'm like, all right, it's time for me to fade into the trees because that was too much sharing at a vulnerable time. Oh, it's easy. You just stop talking about it, and everybody's got plenty to look at.
You will
this is the year, Angela, that I get the Christmas tarantula. Isn't that your Christmas book? Your children's book?
Oh, yeah. Christmas spiders.
Christmas spiders.
Yeah. Well, and then I have the tarantula. There's a tarantula, in the tarantula, but that's a literary lizard story. There's a literary lizard series. Yeah, that's weird. Like, I'm like, wait, why are we talking about my brain's going back and forth? Hello, kids. It's Granny Smith here.
I love it. Granny Smith. Now I got to make a pie. That's your pie apples, children. The Granny Smith. Mix
I do have regrets because I did publish the children's books under my name. And now I really want to take everything down and republish it as Granny Smith because I just love that name.
Yeah, it's so good. You could do that. You are the captain of your soul.
Yes, I will. I might. I mean, I'm still trying to organize my email.
It sounds like a lot of work, but you could.
Theoretically, yeah. After I die, one of my progeny come after me and do that.
Right.
Here's my directions.
Right. Yep. I get it. I think I have another collection of poetry that's ready to go, and I'm like, I think I'm not going to do that till I'm dead. So I'm going to leave word with a few key people, and there we go. But maybe I'll change my mind in 10 years, but it's not today because too much oversharing lately. But
yeah, I'm super curious.
In the song, Your Eyes Were Green. I think I've told you a little bit about it. But
oh, yeah.
But now everyone knows the title. So come at me and change my mind. Right?
All right, guys.
I have one more from Vandal to read.
Okay.
I don't remember whose turn it is. Is it your turn?
Oh, I think it's my turn, but mostly I want you to finish with Vandal. Like, I'll read this one, but then I want us to finish on Vandal. Vandal is out today. It's on my Kindle. Is it on your? Well, it's a phone with Kindle software.
I got it in my hands.
Yours? Yeah.
Ooh. So. I wish it wasn't glaring. I don't know. Here, there we go. I'm gonna have to hold it like this. It's like on Laverne and Shirley when she's like, I was so touched as a child. She's like, hey, come on, Cheryl. Shirley was sad. Cheryl, I want to see those dimples. Let's smile. I only have dimples when I go like this. And look, I do. I was like, me too.
All right, let's hold our books up together. Glare or no glare?
There we go. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, we'll hold it up for the picture.
Oh.
All right. Oh, all right. Okay, cool.
All right. I'm like, it's pretty glary, but
that's okay. 29:39. Okay. All right, Angela.
I will read this poem. This poem is for you, Amy. It's not really like, so don't look at her and like wonder if Amy turns into a Nekekubi at night. So no, that's not why. That the Nekekubi is a Japanese ghost. It's that the head removes at night, and it wanders the earth and does outrageous things. And so I have an essay in Unquiet Spirits where I take the Nekekubi and use it as a metaphor for us having to suppress ourselves at that when we lose control, like we sleep, and so we're not like minding all our P's and Q's. Our soul, like we can literally break ourselves apart from that stress of trying to keep everything down. So that's what the Nekekubi represents to me. And this is the poem about a real Nekekubi for Halloween that I saw when I was 13. Which is also why I'm fascinated by this ghost.
No kidding. Okay.
The Nekekubi. I thought she was there just for me, my own terror, a resident ghost. It made sense to me. The house was Victorian in the deep, deep South. Such places have ghosts. She hung behind me mid-air, her face contorted, her hair streaming down, plastered to her shrieking face. Silent, hateful screams. Like slick tentacles, her neck cords trailed to the ground. Disembodied face, soaked wet from drowning, or perhaps from her own tears. She couldn't tell me. My Nekekubi, out of place in Tennessee. Out of place like me.
Wow.
True story there, guys.
I remember you telling me the story. I don't know if I had heard the poem. That is fantastic. And it sounds like the Nekekubi, which I'd heard about on a podcast a long time ago, had I can't remember what they called the subject, but it was like the heads that would roam at night, but then go and stuff like that. And so your description is like exactly what I knew.
I had never heard of the term before. I'd never heard of a Nekekubi, like as anything. And it was in it was actually doing research for Tortured Willows and all of that, the series of Asian books.
Yeah.
And somebody talked to me about it or mentioned it, or I came across it in like literature or something. And then it was like, oh my gosh, I've seen a Nekekubi.
That's
like she was behind me, kind of like.
What a life. I mean, that is adventure and terror.
Yeah. I love it now. Like, you know what, 50, well, I was 5, but you have to do math, like however long ago that was.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
40 odd years. Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. No. But I know at the time I was not happy about it.
Yeah, in retrospect, you can appreciate that you got this experience. But at the time, I can only imagine that was kind of terrifying. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was terrified for years. Like I would think that she was coming back, or like I would somehow see her,
Ooh, yeah. Oh, that's a lot to carry around. Oh, but you're up, and here you are, the wonderful specimen before us.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you getting scared near to death, it just does wonders.
Ooh, makes the skin glow.
But I'm ready for some Vandal. As you do say, raving a Vandal fan here. I can't point. Okay, raving.
That way.
So hard. There we go. Raving Vandal
poets. We're not like spatial engineers or whatever.
We don't math nor point well.
That's right. All right, we'll wind it up with something from page 67 in the paperback edition. It doesn't have a title. I stopped titling them partway through. Okay, delirious, rich and anguish, this dysregulation, and I cling to the spinning of it, the thrill and the colors. Hello, my songs of insanity, hello, and be you woven among my veins for now at least, and let the emeralds rain down. A calming approaches, but I shun it, bathed in bourbon, resting numbed and gutting you, my maker, no, and evoking in you, eliciting your caring adoration, my maker. And that's from Vandal. So many thoughts and feelings.
Tell me why. I'm curious why you called it vandal, unless that's oversharing.
Okay. Well, you know what? It is because 22 years of marriage, Angela, is not a bad try, but it was time to end it. So that is being a vandal. It is time to tell your child that you were the vandal who suddenly had enough. Not suddenly, not so 22 years. It wasn't suddenly, but and I don't want to paint my, former partner in this light of being a horrible person. It was a difficult match, and because I can imagine somebody who's more like him would find him a good match, and so I think that
just incompatibility.
Yeah, too many expectations as partners. We will be able to carry on a friendship as non-partners, and we will be able to still hang out with our son and be in the same room, and it's not a problem. But when I had Vulcan poet, right? Vulcan romantic poet. We're I can't get in the right. Okay, we're like this far apart. We're both trying. We're trying really hard. Let's get closer. We didn't get only like this close, and then we watched kill each other almost, So we tried. But anyway, I had to wrestle with this. I have been, in the Christian life, my whole life, and yet I want to end my marriage, which is not a popular thing to do in that world. I know that it would dysregulate my son, but he was actually kind of like, no, he wasn't kind of like, he said, Mom, I can understand why you would want to divorce Dad. I had a hard time with him too sometimes. Sometimes I wished you guys would divorce. So, he wasn't oblivious. So I am oversharing, but it's a little more obliquely stated, I guess, in this, or a little more poetically put together. So it's like the process of the disentangling. It's also the process of reaching my hands out and taking something that was a beautiful gift, that is a beautiful gift, but being scandalized at myself somewhat, but not really. Every time I'd start to get scandalized about it, I'd be like, you're a poet, just do it. And I would do it. And I don't mean it. I mean, I would pursue this gift. And
doing it has
right.
Does it
does have its merit doing it. But anyway, oh damn it.
Amy's not saying she's against doing it.
No, not at all. Oh, far from it. Not even close. But anyway, we've done it again, Angela. We were going to be so succinct. I was going to be so cool because I've been doing way too much emotional vomiting on the world lately. Now I'm like, well, anyway, this is really the whole story of Vandal that you asked. And thank you for asking. I love it when people show interest.
Yeah, I was going to say, I apologize. You blame me for that. Just blame me.
Someone gives a crap. Oh, well, come sit by me because I'm going to tell you my whole damn story. So, yeah. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, no, I've been curious. So that sounds like I'm just gonna ask.
Yeah. So
I love it though. I love it.
Kind of the struggle with like this, like good things are happening, but am I horrible? I don't think I care. So weird.
Yeah. There's so much of that, the religion part that is man-made.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, I don't think there's God up there with a little stamp of approval and a piece of paper. Like, I don't know, it says on June 20th that,
Yeah. Yes. As we live and observe humanity around us, we know darn good and well how much they like to take control and exact power. And so, well, this sounds like, let's scare them with hell and death. And I'm not saying what is or isn't real in the Bible, but I'm certainly saying there is the possibility that people were using an agenda. There was an agenda in place.
You know what I found? Here we are, like, going on the religious thing again. Sorry, everybody. We swore we weren't going to do this time.
That's right.
But I have one more thing to say. No.
Just one more thing.
Just one more thing.
Yeah.
When I went to, it's not called Catholic school, but when you are not training to be a Catholic, but you go to like the school to be a Catholic, because you know me,
my neighborhood.
Yeah. I am the religious whore. I have been baptized by everybody because I'm like, oh, you have religion? Let me join. You know,
you're a seeker. That's right.
I'll join any religion, and I probably almost have. But go away. Stop knocking on my door and leaving pamphlets. But when I was in the school, I found out, like, through all the studying, they said that hell was not part of the original Bible. It was added later. And I was like, that says so much.
Yes.
It says so much.
That right there is a revelation that would be very unexpected to people who kind of grew up in Sunday school and all that stuff. And I mean, it was a powerful tool,
Yeah, that terror of you're going to this, and the most horrific place you can imagine. And of course, everybody look it up yourself. Don't take Angela's word for it.
Right.
But yeah, that was like something to me that I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. I can see a logic to that for sure. So
yeah,
you just go around with your eyes wide open and seek, as Angela does, and as I do, and I'm still a Christian, but you know what? You'll find your path. I mean, the longer I live, the more plausible it seems that all of these world religions are connected, and that they're just seen through different cultural eyes and times and places and stuff like that, because God's big enough for that. I mean,
yeah,
I
agree.
Done. Now we've solved it for you. I'll go forth and pursue your thing.
Whatever it may be.
Yep, we're not here to tell you. This is your path.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just thinking, how much nicer you put it, like seeker, other than religious whore. I think I'm just like using seeker.
But you know what? That was a darn colorful way to say it, Angela. I enjoyed it. Thank you for that term. It's so
You're welcome. I'll just hop from baptismal font to baptismal font. That's just how I roll.
But I can picture you like me, like naked with red lipstick on, woo, just jumping from font to font.
Yeah, we won't get into my father and Pope fantasies. We'll just leave that there.
We've done it again, Angela.
I don't care how old the Pope is. That would be such a challenge.
You never turn down a good challenge, a good dare.
Yeah. Okay. I don't mean that, of course, to anybody who's like horrifically offended.
No, we're sorry. We are. We. You know what? There's a lot of jokes I make. In fact, I have a document titled "Wrong Jokes" or something like that. I want to start keeping track of every time I'm not funny. Like when I joke, like when somebody in my family says that we're doing something next month, and I'm like, well, that's fine. I'll be dead. And they just don't think that's funny. I thought it was funny. I kind of got it from Brighton Beach Memoirs, where the mom tells him to go to the store and get ketchup or something. And he's like, right now? No, next month when I'm dead. I just thought that was so funny. So sometimes Angela and I are right on the edge of being hilarious, but also horrid. So, but they love us. They know
perfectly.
Us.
Yeah.
Yep. It's acceptable to me.
Me too. But
I'm 49. I'm probably not going to change that much. Well, I mean, I change kind of some. I try to grow.
Well, you'll change when you're dead.
Next month. Oh God, I shouldn't say that. What if it happens? I've been saying it for decades.
One day you'll be right.
One of these times it's going to be right, but probably not this one. I'm just going to.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead.
Yeah. On that note, happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween. Thank you for joining us on Third Sunday Poetry. And okay, Vandal, I'm going to put, when this goes to, we're pre-recording, I'm going to put the link to Vandal. I'm going to put the link to all of the Bandcamp stuff that you need, if I remember. All right.
I'm going to read this book tonight.
Oh, yay. Well, thank you, Angela, for all that you do and all of your awesomeness.
Thank you, Amy. It's mutually appreciated for your awesomeness.
Oh, boy. Well, we did it again. Another one in the can. All right. Happy Halloween, like we say, and enjoy some poetry. All right.
Bye.